basketball fans, welcome back. So today we have an article and it's titled "Which Way for Kenyan Basketball Club Admit Biting Cash Crunch." So you could see this is an article from Citizen Digital. They're actually doing a good thing just writing these articles, and I stumbled upon it. So it was published December 14th, 2023, and it's actually one of those things that resonates well with what I've been talking about, and it's something that I've even covered in a previous video I did a while ago on the Kenya basketball problem. I made a video. So it reads, while corporate sponsored basketball teams in Kenya have excelled both locally and internationally, their self-sponsored counterparts are writhing in a sea of challenges in running their affairs, with many losing their top talents to the moneyed rivals every off-season. True. So majority of the time the self-sponsored teams are the ones that are at the receiving end of what goes on in basketball, because you're seeing a situation where a person who has balled out in a season, and the money teams, let's say KPA, Equity, Ulinzi, and right now the team that is at the top, the Nairobi City Thunder, they look at that player and they just say, you know what, we just give you a better deal because in the self-sponsored team there's a high likelihood that you are paying for everything, and when a money team comes and they say, we are going to pay you for this service, of course you're going to take the best deal. So that's what happens, and they keep losing, and there's no parity in KBF currently, because the only four teams that run the KBF men's division in the Premier League. So if you're not the Thunder, if you're not KPA, you're not Equity, you're not Ulinzi, I'm pretty sure you're not going to win this league. Even if you make it to the finals, you're not going to do anything significant. Nothing. And that's the same thing even for the women's division. We saw the KPA team, we saw the Equity Hawks team compete in Zone 5, and we saw them compete in the Africa Women's Basketball League. But the Equity Hawks were not supposed to be there because they got swept by the Zitex Sparks. The Zitex Sparks actually should have been in that position in Zone 5, and arguably should have been, even if they made it through in Zone 5, they should have gone and traveled. But unfortunately, that's an education institution. They didn't have the money, they didn't have the budget for that trip, so they had to give it to the money team. So if you're not KPA or Equity in the women's division, you're not going to play any Zone 5 basketball or even any continental basketball with that effect with the African Women's Basketball League. So yeah, it has affected a lot. So it really continues. Such moves have affected their performance, with some failing to honor their matches, while others, like the once promising Kisumu Lakeside, have dropped in lower divisions. So you can see even the Kisumu Lakeside, they are fall from grace. This was once a team that had like players. You might think that they were contenders. They looked like they had money, but unfortunately it was a difficult been a difficult 2 years for them. They've not been able to play any consistent basketball, and they dropped a division lower. So it was actually one fall from grace that not many people talk about that much. Decorated size like the Ulinzi Warriors, Equity Hawks, Kenya Ports Authority Dockers, and also the Nairobi City Thunder, and also the KPA, both men and women's team, have consistently dominated the local scenes, capped by their perennial participation in continental championships like BAL, the Africa Women's Basketball League, and FIBA Zone 5. So even if the money teams are able to get there, the thing that I've seen is they have not been able to succeed there. You can take an example of KPA in 2019, where they made the Elite 16 for the very first time in the very first try. They underestimated what BAL could be, and the team flat out, the team was abandoned by the organization. KPA said, we're not footing the bill for you, you go and travel on your own way. So that one really affected like their games, because one game against the City Wildlife they missed. Although they blew out every single team, they were not able to. That was the best shot that they had to make it to BAL, and they threw it away. Then in 2021 we saw the Ulinzi Warriors. they had a 1-3 record in 4 games that they played. They didn't even make it to the Elite 16, so they got beat like that. I think they made it, but unfortunately it was not enough. They got knocked out like that. Then the KPA Dockers in 2022, they made it to the Elite 16. In 5 games, they lost. They won the first game and lost 4 straight. So they just got knocked out like that. Their last game, even if they won, they were not going to go anywhere. Then we have this year, 2020. Last year, 2023. I don't want to say this year. Last year, 2023, because it just happened like about 3-4 months ago. They lost 2 games out of 1, so they didn't even make it to the Elite 16. So it was very embarrassing. They only played 3 games, and what was to add the most disappointment is you might have thought that they will have taken this competition seriously, but they didn't, and they tried some shortcuts and it didn't work, and they failed. And they tried to bring in like coaches. They tried to bring in like foreigners to come save them, but they couldn't salvage it because the type of basketball that they're used to playing in Kenya is not the same one that runs in the continent. So they got beat like that. Then even the women's KPA and the Equity Hawks, they played well in Zone 5. Okay, I can say Zone 5 did not have like those types of matchups that call for them to be able to like play well. They had a lot of flaws, but they got away with it in Zone 5 because the teams that they were playing against, they were not that strong in anyway. Then when they went to the Africa Women's Basketball League, teams like the Equity Hawks got punched in the mouth brutally. They in 4 games, not even in 7 games, they only won 3 games. They in the preliminary rounds they had a 2-2 record, and they got eliminated by the KPA Dockers side. Then it was brutal, and even in the last game that they played, they got beat by 30 points. So it was a sad thing to see. Then the KPA Dockers, I say again, like the women's division is very weak in Kenya, so they can shine in Zone 5. They won the Zone 5 championship, but they got stopped by the only team that they couldn't beat was the Sporting team. They beat every single team that they had on their way, but they lost to Sporting twice, first in the preliminary round and in the finals. The good thing that they did was just have a podium finish with silver medal, but losing to a team like Sporting, right now Sporting have a record on KPA of 4-0. In 4 times that Sporting has matched up with KPA, they have not been able to like, not even them, but KPA have not been able to like win that matchup, because Sporting beat KPA in the Zone 5 in the 2022 Zone 5 finals. They won it. Sporting were the team responsible for eliminating the KPA Dockers in the Africa Women's Cup in 2022, the same year that they lost in the finals. Then last year, we saw what happened in the Africa Women's Basketball League, where KPA got beat by Sporting twice in the preliminary round and the finals. So those performances have been quite underwhelming. So central to their inevitable success, corporate teams enjoy the luxury of sustainable financial backing as a feat that affords the investment of top-notch training facilities, coaching staff, and equipment. So the thing is, the corporate teams, the corporate sides, they have the financial ability to be able to do these things. They can be able to compensate their athletes. They can get like good training facilities. Unlike the self-sponsored teams that have to come out of pocket to do everything, the players have to come out of pocket. Everyone has to foot the bill. But the corporate sponsored teams, the only thing that they're enjoying is the fact that the corporations are willing to invest in them, and that is the thing that makes them be able to be in those positions. So that's the main thing. But the thing that I really don't like is the corporate sponsored teams capitulating to the league. not even the league, not that way, but the league somewhat submits to the corporate teams because they have the financial muscle, because they know if they play ball with the money teams can carry them to the tournaments. And that's the way they are corrupted. The officials are corrupted by the money teams because they are the ones who pick the fixture. They are the ones who dictate when they want to play. They are the ones who dictate what needs to happen in a game so that they and set up the game in a way that they can't lose. So without money, even the self-sponsored teams does not get a fair shake at all. So Storm's women's basketball team's head coach Abel Son, whose side has seen his top players decamp to their heavy bankroll rivals over the years, says lack of marketing coupled with poor visibility has dimmed their prospects of securing sponsorships. So lack of self-marketing, true, because I've not seen the Storms. I don't even think the Storms have any social media. They think that some sponsor is going to arise and just sponsor them as a team because they just think that just because they play basketball and they're here, they are entitled to it. Nobody's entitled to anything in this life. Then poor visibility is something that I really have a tendency to disagree. I have a tendency to disagree on this point, on poor visibility, because when you say poor visibility, that means you are providing value, but you're not getting a time slot in the media. But the thing is, there has been a lot of change, especially in the past 2 years, in terms of like basketball coverage. Like I was doing basketball coverage, I was trying to put the games on the internet, and also tagging the relevant or relevant media companies to get there to see. There has been media coverage, but not to the point that they can be able to even capitalize on, even profit from. So the poor visibility comes from the lack of self-marketing here. So you can see the team is not marketing itself, but they're complaining of poor visibility. And it's the job for the team to market themselves so that they can try to increase their chances of visibility. So yeah, it's that's the way it is. So the biggest problem in our league is that the teams don't package or market or position themselves to get sponsors. True, that's the same thing that is plaguing your team, Coach Abel, because you're not marketing your team to the relevant people who are going to sponsor you. You're not playing basketball to win. The only way a sponsor can support a team is when you win a game. If you win games, you're gonna get sponsorship. If you don't, you can't complain of poor visibility because people don't want to see failure. And that's the reason as to why you don't see, like even in the NBA, like televised the games that it's like the lower seeds, they don't get televised the most because they don't want to televise failure. The teams that are winners are the ones that get the most television slots. And so that's the thing. Even if you look at even the visibility, you cannot market a team that is losing. You can't do that because it will just embarrass them. They'll just be embarrassed, and not many people are going to tune in to watch that. So focus on playing basketball, win, and make sure that you get a good production team to be able to come and cover you. Secondly, the teams will attract sponsors if they have big interest. In our league, few matches or teams attract big crowds. For example, Thunder versus KPA, Thunder versus Lindsay, and Equity Dumas. True, like there are those the teams that play good basketball and play competitive basketball are the ones that pull in the most crowds. You cannot get these lower seeded teams pulling the most people. And if it happens in every sport, like those teams that are just bottom or even mid-tier teams, if it's a mid-table clash, let's say if it's a mid-seed clash, they don't attract the most people to come and tune in. So that's the thing. And you have to win games, and you have to show that you can be able to do something to be able to attract those crowds. So if we have more teams at such levels, then we shall have half-packed gyms throughout, which will result in more partners interested in our clubs and the league itself. So, and someone was quoted as saying that. So the thing I must say is this: basketball in Kenya, when it comes to the players' standpoint, they have improved. But the problem comes in when the league is marred by so many scandals to the point where no sponsor wants to touch a league that has so many scandals under them. They have many too many skeletons in their closet to the point where when they get exposed, it's a bad look to the organization that is funding them. And also, there has been so many instances of corruption and misappropriation to the point where no sponsor wants to put in money to be able to do that, to be able to even help them, even get the visibility. So the scandals are the reason as to why nobody wants to touch Kenyan basketball. There's such a very negative vibe on Kenyan basketball to the point where even local companies cannot even sponsor. Teams are even pulling out some corporations like KCB pulled out their team because of the misappropriation and the corruption in there. So as much as people are complaining about visibility, first they have to take a step back and look at why is it that people do not want to associate with Kenyan b-ball. Is it the officials? Is it the quality of the game? Is it the corruption? They have to look at that first instead of crying there's poor visibility. So that's one of the things that I saw in there. So the it's actually quite amazing. So Son also believes teams should strive to enhance their appeal through playing well as a way to drawing attention to the sponsors. True, no sponsor wants to associate their losing team. In the men's league, the focus is on the Basketball Africa League, which will give teams a lot of money when they qualify and or win. But for the women's league, there is no clear pathway for now on how they can recover any money if you invest in it. So true. At least the men's team, there's a clear-cut way, because the only thing that you need to do is win the KBF Premier League and win Road to Bal and secure either a 2 or 3 spot. I can't say a first spot because the Kenyan teams is actually quite difficult to get the top spot. But getting the second or third spot, a third spot at best, will be able to just getting into Bia Bal will help the team be able to market itself and also get to the African audience, which is the goal. But for the women's side, I think it's a lose-lose situation, because about like in December, like the Africa Women's Basketball League was not as it was not as hyped as you might think it was, because they played in a very small gym, very small to the point where there are no even fans in seats. Nobody was paying attention to those games, none. And there was no fan attendance. I can say there was not even little. There was little to no fun attendance in there. Even with the the marketing that they were doing on their page, it was not enough to get people involved, because there's this thing that people don't watch as much women's basketball like that because of the same quality you can't find. The quality that you find in men's basketball is not the same, so not many people are going to follow it that much. So it's just like, let them just play. So they play in those small gyms. Even in Zone 5, they played in a very small gym in Rwanda. You might have thought that they were going to play in that big arena, in the BK Arena, but unfortunately, I mean, they didn't. As in that, there's no big audience for women's basketball. So even if you put in money to, like, let's say for example, you're trying to invest in this team, and you don't have a strategy to recoup that money, you're basically throwing away your money. So yeah. So the thing is, so he was quoted as saying, so there are just the little things that make a difference when it comes to self-sponsor teams, the hurdles that they go through, and generally speaking. So he added, on the other part, Kenya national women's 3x3 coach Eve Kidogo shared her views from way back during her playing days. When I was playing, we had companies owned teams in the league. Most of the players were employed through the game are included. Companies will go and scout for their own players, so it made competition evenly matched. And then came retrenchments, and it led to the corporate world winding down on their sporting sections. So you could see, like, in corporations, it's actually quite difficult, because number one, like, you don't know the future direction that the corporation can take. They can even say, oh no, we are cutting on budget, we're not funding the Kenya basketball team, we're not doing that. So they can even pull out, someone can lose their job or something. So it's not something that is set in stone that they're going to be there forever. So the Africa Cup winning coach adds that with few corporate teams in the top flight, it makes players coming from varsity teams lack a clear roadmap for their careers. True. The the top four teams like KPA, Thunder, KPA, Equity, and Ulinzi, they're the ones who are going to the championship runs through among those four teams. Right now, we have seen KPA win back to back, and right now it's the Thunder that are going to look like they're going to win it. So so the thing is, the other teams, the varsity teams, they're just there for the ride. Even made a post. I just said, they're just they're just there to honor the fixtures, and they're just there for the ride. You don't expect these teams to come and win. I don't expect them to. With lack of sponsors in the league, and also many players coming out of universities, only a few can be taken to the corporate world. The rest of the pool of players can only play for self-supporting teams. That means these individuals cannot pay the league fees and nothing else. So can only pay league fees and nothing else. So you're seeing it's the same thing that I even mentioned. If a player is good, they will always look for where the money is. True. Corruption and integrity issues are also some of the reasons why sponsors shy away from coming on board, as Kidogo clearly puts. So KBF has a corruption issue and an accountability issue. Even when she says that, she's actually part of that cabal that is corrupt. They're the ones who select the 3x3 team. They're the ones who select the 5x5 team. They have no criteria in selecting anybody. Then they come out and try to exonerate themselves and say that, this is happening because of this. The problem is, these people who are in the federation, they know where the problem is, but they don't want to put steps to address it. They don't want to do that. So they try to exonerate and try to remove themselves from that situation. In reality, they are already in there, and they are supposed to be offering strategies to change things. But unfortunately for them, they have so much skin in the game to the point where they can't do anything because we already know who they are. Lack of trust, integrity, and accountability has led to lack of sponsorship. True. KBF is a corrupt organization. They have cartels in there that dictate everything. They don't want to listen. They have zero accountability. You can't ask them anything. They can't be asked anything. And that's the reason as to why a sponsor cannot sponsor this team. Not if teams. A sponsor cannot even come and try to say, we're going to sponsor the league. You can see what Rwanda are doing. Bet Power bought the rights to the playoffs and even the league. So you're seeing a betting company buying not even buying, but sponsoring the league. You can see there are so many corporations in Kenya that have the ability and have the financial muscle to help the Kenya Basketball Federation if they package themselves the right way. If they're able to streamline their things and they're able to just follow the way things are supposed to be and try to zero down on corruption, then we will have had a chance. But with this current leadership, there's no future in sponsorships or anything, because they're all corrupt to the bone. And that's the reason. Lack of trust, integrity, and accountability has led to lack of sponsorship. True. This will take a long time to come unless the corporate world comes back into the game. Then we shall see all we shall see are one-sided games that are not competitive. So if these people, if these people don't fix up their act, KBF, it's going to continue the same way. We're only going to have 2 teams or 3 teams dominating all through, sweeping everyone, and going out there embarrassing the country, all that. But the thing is, we're going to continue having one-sided games every single time because we have these people there. The federation is not regulating the league. KBF transfers are broken. A team cannot be acquired. Actually, I looked at even the Nairobi City Thunder, not even to throw any shade on them, but the thing is, it's not legal to do what they did. You cannot buy a team and get rid of 12 to 13 players like that. You can't do that. In any league, that is illegal, and the team can be banned. or even faces serious, like, punishment when that happens. They can even be removed from the Premier League. But in Kenya, of course, if you have money, everything goes. That's the thing that happens. The league needs to be more balanced. We need to be balanced. The league needs to be well structured in that it starts and ends in time. So the league needs money to be balanced. So that the league can be able to generate money. The big question is, what is KBF doing? What is the Kenya National Basketball League doing to fix their image to the public so they can go to corporations, try to seek for sponsorship from them, as well as the teams packaging themselves to get, sponsors? The two have to work concurrently. If these two are not working concurrently, and if the product is not good, the sponsors are not going to pay for it. This is going to be a waste of money. So we need more sponsors coming out to support most of these teams. Then you'll see what competition looks like. Yeah, they can just say all that, but we all know how it goes. These players are all homegrown, which means we can go way beyond what we see today. Players playing a full potential and professionalism to some extent, she reckoned. So the thing is, the people, you can see Coach Evelyn Kyodogo, she was with the team in a 3x3, which I feel like was rushed. Although they won gold, I feel like it glossed over everything, because there was no criteria in which they selected the players. They just named the players in there. And it was funny to me to hear her say this, and she's within the federation. She has a league in the NBA, but she does nothing. She does nothing to remove the corruption, because they are part of it. They're all part of it. Even Coach are part of it. So let them not come here and lie to you. They can come to Citizen Digital and give like an interview shortly and say that, but you all know what the problem is. If you've been following this platform long enough, you'll see it's the same people. It's the same people that are there. Footprints head coach, who previously had a stint with the Nairobi University Dynamites, Juma Kent, says clubs and the league do not have structures and programs in place to attract sponsors. True. Most clubs are suffering in Kenya because of leadership and structures, without forgetting that incompetency and auditing of funds has been a problem. True. KBF is run by a cartel. It's corrupt. They don't want any accountability. No sponsor can touch that. End of story. Our game is really going down compared to our neighboring countries. True. Look at a country like Uganda, City Oilers, BAL. Rwanda, APR, BAL. Burundi, Dynamo, BBC, BAL. This is for the first time in BAL history. You have 3 East African teams who don't have Kenya in there. Pazi beat the KPA Dockers. South Sudan, Cobra Sport, they made the BAL in season 2. So you're seeing Kenya is being left behind. And Kenya doesn't care. KBF does not care. They do not care. The only thing they care about is the money that they can be able to obtain. That's the only, and the trips that they get. That's the only thing they care about. They don't care about, making sure that they clear their name. They don't care about, fixing their image and brand. They only care about trips. They only care about, how much money they can get from an event. That's the only thing they care about. They are corrupt to the core. From right at the top, chairman, deputy chairman, from the chairman, assistant chairman, all these people, the treasurer, from the fixture secretary, from the secgen, all of them are corrupt to the core. Listen to their interviews, they are lying. Fixtures is also another disease in our league, as it runs too long and keeps on changing, which makes sponsors have doubts about the league. True. Like the money teams are the ones who mangle the sponsors. The fixtures. The sponsors will not buy into a league that the fixtures are not good, the structure is bad, corrupt officials are there. That's a problem, and the fixtures problem is led about by rogue TMs trying to fix their teams and bring confusion. And the money teams are the ones who decide the fixtures, how it's going to look like. They decide when they're going to play. So the fixtures don't even but the KBF basketball fixture cannot come for the whole season. It's only announced weekly. And if it's announced weekly, it's not even marketed enough for that, so that people can know how to prepare for it. So that's a problem. And man, I saw the Sec-Gen come out and say in a Citizen interview that she's going to fix it in a month, which was a lie. The fixtures, we don't even know. We're mid-January and we have not even seen a KBF game. What is going on? They're starting this coming weekend. They should have started this past weekend, or even the weekend before. They should have started their games. I mean, it's funny to me that these people are going to wait this long. They're going to wait until January, end of January, to kick off. And quite honestly, there's a reason as to why nobody cares about KBF basketball. There's a reason as to why people don't respect it enough to be able to like even invest in it. Because a sponsor who respects this sport will not shy away from investing in it. But because they have attracted so much hatred and disrespect from the fan base, people don't like them. The officials, they don't care about their image. They only care about themselves. That's the reason as to why Kenyan b-ball is down on a downward spiral, and that's the reason as to why we're having such articles and this type of video being made. So as much as they can say that they don't have money and KBF are on a cash crunch, the reality is the stakeholders, the people who are the primary decision makers, are doing a disservice to this sport. They don't care about anything. They don't care about fixing anything. They only care about making money for themselves and making themselves happy. They don't care about exonerating their image from the media. They don't care about what people say. They don't care about any feedback. Actually, they don't even like any feedback. They want to operate like a mafia, because that's how a mafia operates. And they do not respect anyone to even answer the tough questions. So I know this video is actually quite long, so I just said let me just come in and just talk about this whole issue in its totality. I expect more of these type of videos, because my god, we'll just be looking at some articles that are being made in the public just to talk about this. And I'm not the one who wrote this title. This is Citizen Digital. You're just reacting to it, and it's just funny to see how these people are willing to come off the media and try to exonerate themselves, and yet they're the part of the problem. If these people are truthful and they say that we don't support what KBF is doing, then what are they doing in KBF still? Why are they still there? They should have already left and said, you know what, we're not dealing with corruption, you leave. But the thing is, in everything corruption, there's always that one party that is profiting, and there's always those people that are benefiting from it. So look no further. And yeah, man, I'm out. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and more of these type of videos are gonna drop. So yeah, I'm out. Peace.